Wait, the cops are talking to each other saying this is a homicide scene?
It looks like a homicide scene. The most strangest thing is that officer who comes, goes inside the crime scene, touches his gun box, everything with bare hands without any gloves. He's already contaminated the crime scene.
I can't imagine. You don't want to talk about this to anybody because you're constantly reliving it. You want to find out exactly what happened because you want justice.
Who's against him? Who would kill him? Why?
In the AI space right now, it's extremely competitive. It's like the Oklahoma land rush times 1,000. Everybody wants to own the AI revolution.
The only person in his life ever Suchir was not happy about was Sam Altman. So Suchir knew something.
Wow. Okay.
I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong.
People who are suicidal, they become isolated. Everybody who he went with said he was happy, he didn't show any signs of depression, he was not withdrawn. I was always hoping that I will talk to people about my son's accomplishments, but unfortunately he did become famous through a tragic death. But the fact is, they have ignored there is one more door in the back and that doesn't have the camera. Anyone could come in easily.
That is strange.
That's very strange.
That's very strange. What new findings have you gotten since your last interview you did with Tucker Carlson?
There's a lot of new findings.
Parents of Suchir Balaji, Poornima and Balaji, were here today to share new insight. The last time they did this was on January 15 with Tucker Carlson. It was a very thorough breakdown of what happened to their son. The whistleblower of OpenAI went on November 21st. His birthday, 2024, comes back, and 22nd, all of a sudden they don't hear back. They find out on the 26th their son is no longer with them. The autopsy comes out saying this was a suicide, but they now have recording from the officers talking this may be homicide just a few hours before they then change it to it being suicide. And she showed the footage, the new private investigator they hired. There's a video you'll see of his apartment room, living in an apartment that's got a rooftop lounge. This is not like it's a regular place. How did this happen? All the cameras stopped working. One of the elevator cameras stopped working. The garage's camera stopped working. The neighbor's camera, the CCTV stopped working. I know another guy that this happened to when they said, oh, the prison's cameras were not working with this. So a lot of questions there. And then they had research done by radiologists that looked at all the reports, and you see a possible second bullet. Very disturbing to watch. But if someone's going through this, what you want is justice, and you want to know exactly what happened. But I want to prepare you. This will be a difficult one to watch. There's an AI war going on right now, and OpenAI was discussed a ton with a couple names that may know something about this that don't want to talk. With that being said, here's the interview with Poornima and Balaji, the parents of Suchir.
Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright.
My
handshake is better than anything I ever saw. It's right here.
You are a one-of-one?
My son's right about it.
I don't think I've ever said this before.
Today, we have the parents of Suchir Balaji, Poornima, and Balaji in here to talk about a very uncomfortable topic. This is the OpenAI Whistleblower. With that being said, thank you for being here with us on the podcast.
Thank you for hosting us. We hope our son's tragedy and his sacrifice reaches everyone and his mission gets fulfilled.
Well, you know, for me, when I follow this story, and we've been following it closely, on one end, I can't imagine you don't want to talk about this to anybody because you're constantly reliving it. But on the other end, as a parent, you want to find out exactly what happened. You want the world to know about it because you want justice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we've obviously seen the Tucker Carlson interview. I have a lot of new questions on what was covered from then when you guys did the interview till today. There's been a lot of new findings. You've shared a lot of videos with us, a lot of pictures. Some of them are disturbing. Yeah. And I know you shared it with us. You want the public to see, so we will do our best to present that to the audience. But if you don't mind taking a moment, assume the 90% that hasn't yet followed the story about your son. Because when I look at your son's background and I hear the stuff that he did at the age 7, starts coding, at a young age starts building computers with his father, goes to Berkeley, scores a high SAT prior to that, goes to Berkeley, 4.0 GPA, becomes a intern, I think, in 2018 with OpenAI. Then he starts working with OpenAI, makes very good money, $300,000-$400,000 a year, is living in a nice apartment, safe place, which we'll go into in a minute as well. So this guy's a prodigy, but he's not a regular kid. He's doing great things, and both of you engineers. So if you don't mind, take a moment and kind of share the background and the story, and then we'll get into some of the new footage and findings that you have.
Sure. Suchir was a prodigy. He showed the strong signs of how genius he is. From the age of 13 months, he picked up all the alphabets in 1 month. No,
At 13
1
months.
week, actually. My husband was going to school. He was studying masters. So like we were doing the technical discussions, coding discussions, I was already in that line. So we both used to talk technical stuff. This kid used to bring his alphabet book. I also want to study. And then 1.5-year-old knew to tell the directions. I still remember my mother-in-law used to be in the back seat. And then she used to really enjoy how he guides the direction. This is the way to library. This is the way to McDonald's. He loved McDonald's apple pie. He knew to go to Barnes and Noble to play with the train there. He would give all these directions. As he knew to recognize words at 20 months.
At 20 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And at 13, he built his own computer. He didn't even struggle for a second. He just told me to take him to the store. And when I took him there, he knew what exactly to buy. Seamlessly, he built it. At 14, he wrote a Google Science Fair paper on quantum computing.
At 14?
At 14, and then it talks about VLSI, like the chip design, advanced stages of chip design, how to optimize the CPU performance. At that moment, I knew he was not an ordinary person, and his contributions to this world would have been very, very credible. And I was always hoping that I will talk to people about my son's accomplishments out beyond TV, because he becomes someone like Sundar Pichai or something. But unfortunately, he did become famous through a tragic death.
Devastating news. When you hear about it and you read about it, the more and more you get into it, it's more painful.
Yeah.
How about after? So he's in college, he's going to Berkeley.
Yeah.
You hear about getting an intern at OpenAI. What's his level of excitement? At the time, I think they're a nonprofit, because I think the transition was made afterwards.
Yes.
What is he calling and saying, Mom, you won't believe it, I'm an intern at this company, he's excited. What was his energy like when he first started working at OpenAI?
Yeah, we first told, both of us first told, you should try Google. It's a very good company. But he always had his ways. Before he went to UC Berkeley, he worked in Quora as a software engineer at 17. So he made his choices. And he said he likes OpenAI and he enjoyed the people there. Next year, he took up internship in Scale.ai and then one more AI company. Once he graduated, almost 6 months before graduation, he started working full-time.
And at that time, was Elon involved with OpenAI when he became an intern?
Yeah, in intern, he was with OpenAI. One of the internship in 2018 was with OpenAI.
And was your son, did he have a hero? Like, did he look up to somebody? Was there certain people that he looked at and said, I really like what he's doing, what she's doing? Who were some of the people?
John Kuhlman, that was the boss. He wrote a very good tribute on Suchir. He attended his memorial service. And we've read Suchir's journals as well. In his journal, he writes he likes Ilya Sutskever. He was the chief scientist. And he writes, if Ilya calls me, I would love to work with him.
Wow. So he already knew who he wanted to work for. And what was his opinion on, did he have an opinion on Sam Altman, or was it more Elon Musk that he was excited about working with?
Oh yeah, he writes he would work for Elon Musk. He writes he would really look forward to working with Elon or Ilya.
Elon or Ilya?
Yeah.
Okay. So now his experience with working at OpenAI, he's now in there, he's out of college, he's now working there full time. When he's calling to you and his dad, he's talking to you, what is he saying about his experience?
He was very humble. He never spoke anything big about himself. In fact, he won $100,000 award at the age of 18. We never knew about it. He was always very quiet. And when I probe, what are you working on? He said it's cool, and that's all. And then when I knew he was writing a science paper, research paper at OpenAI. I wanted him to share that with me. He said, "You won't understand anything. I won't share it."
He said that
with
to you?
He said that to me. But when I saw the WebGPT research paper, I knew it's going to be a big discovery, because WebGPT is the basis of ChatGPT. When he wrote this, he was 6 months into his work, and he led the project, being a fresh graduate. Very soon he became the welcoming mentor or onboarding mentor for the other colleagues. He was the go-to person for everyone. People say like he had so much patience, so much kindness, and his ideas were so good. He started working directly with the chief scientist
At OpenAI.
at OpenAI.
Okay, so he has a good relationship with the chief scientist.
With everyone. He never had any argument with anyone. Everyone liked him.
So at what point did he, before being a whistleblower, and typically as a whistleblower, to do that at a young age, that could be career, it could hurt you with your career if you're going to come out and talk about it, right? So
Yes.
you have to be careful, because all the other engineering firms to hire you, they may be like, whoa, do we want to hire a whistleblower? It's a little bit of a risk for him, right? What
Yes.
got him to get to the point of saying, I have to blow the whistle here with what's going on?
Yeah, he had his own startup plans. Before he quit OpenAI, in July, he had to he had a plan to start a startup with respect to neuroscience and machine learning. He did check with his friend from UC Berkeley who studied together, will you join me? So he already knew he was not going to be depending on anyone's job. He's going to create his own job and his company. And telling the ethics would demonstrate his integrity. That would only help him secure funds, he said.
So this is July of 2024.
Yes.
He had already plans of starting his own company.
Yes.
He is still with OpenAI, because I don't think he left OpenAI for another month or two right after that.
Yes.
What was the exact month? Did he leave in September or August?
August 4th.
He
That's
left
the
August 4th. So, and then when did he blow the whistle? When was it when he blew the whistle?
in July itself, while he was there. We don't know the activities in the company, but what we know is he reached out to New York Times. So my assumption here is if he resorted to reach out to New York Times, maybe his voice was not heard in the company, so he wanted to go out. And he didn't speak to them completely, but he did reach out in the end of July. His interview was sometime in the end of August, published October 2023.
This is the one, right? And what's the date on this, Rob, if you can?
October 23rd.
Yep, right
October
there.
23rd. Okay, so the title says, can you go up a little bit? OpenAI researcher, former OpenAI researcher, says the company broke copyright law. And in this, I've gone through this, we've gone through the stories. If you don't mind sharing with the audience, what is he trying to say which copyright did they break?
Yeah, he explains extremely well, like what exactly is a copyright violation and why it's a concern, and about how these LLM models, like large like models, right? AI models, why they are not really good. One of the major factors is the copyright law. That's what all these Hollywood actors, 400 of them, have signed against it, right? What they do is they have the AI engine, right? They feed the training data. To that engine, they put all the data for it to understand and learn. And that data comes from everywhere. It could be journal, it could be YouTube video, it could be any journals, any artist's work. When Google puts that in the page, they don't remove the copyright stuff. But what OpenAI does is, it doesn't respect the copyright law. And also the most important declaration he makes is, it changes the output. In his research paper, he also publishes mathematically why he believes it's a change of output. That means in a way, they're changing the work of the artist. And that's against the copyright law. And if anyone reads this article, he explains very clearly why it's a violation.
What is this, Rob, here?
This is, I believe, the WebGPT paper that you had discussed earlier that he wrote while in college.
Right. Can you go back to the New York Times one? So in the New York Times one, he's saying that over the past 2 years, a number of individuals, businesses have sued various AI companies, including OpenAI, arguing, that's not him, that's the New York Times, saying that they illegally use copyright material to train their technologies Those who have filed suits include computer programmers, artists, record labels, book authors, and news organizations. So New York Times also sued OpenAI in December. And if I'm not mistaken, in your interview with Tucker,
Yes.
you were talking about the fact that a part of the New York Times document was sealed, not open to the public, but you were waiting till the end of January for your husband to become the estate administrator for you to have access to it. Did they end up giving you access to?
Yes, we have the access, but OpenAI did not share that information. They say like there's no such email. And the fact here is New York Times labeled custodian witness, 10 of them on November 18th. And OpenAI denied every one of them. On 25th November, they said only Suchir Balaji can be the custodian witness because he was not there at that moment.
That is strange.
That's very strange.
That's very strange. Yeah,
Very strange.
And then also the New York Times at the time, if I'm not mistaken, when I'm looking at the date, November 18th, New York Times court filing identified that New York Times attorneys, copyright cases on OpenAI, they had certain people that would testify, and one of the names, November 18th, was Suchir Balaji that would testify against OpenAI. That's November 18th, okay? And then is this when he's leaving to Catalina Island for backpacking? Is he gone already or he's about to leave?
He was already there.
He was already there. Okay, so you already know that, OpenAI is going through this. New York Times is counting on the fact that Balaji is going to be speaking. Is that the one? Yeah, custodian request to court. New York Times argued that Balaji would have unique and relevant documents supporting to new plaintiffs' allegations of willful infringement, among other issues. The Times attorney had previously asked the court to designate 8 other current or former OpenAI employees as custodians in the case, including Ilya Sutskever, co-founder and former chief scientist, and that's the friend that you're talking about.
Yes.
And Bright Light Cap, the chief operating officer. Are you currently in communication with Ilya?
He's not replied to my email. We are trying to. We would really want to get in touch with him.
Is he still with OpenAI,
No,
or he's
he left.
also left?
He left.
But he doesn't want to talk to anybody.
I believe instead of blaming something like I would think he's busy with his own startup. He just started SSI, his own startup. He's probably very busy with it. If he knows, he might be open to talk. But one thing which I shared in Tucker's interview as well, December 15th or so, when he went to an AI summit or some conference, Ilya had security guards around him, armed gunmen around him. Why? He's scared of his life. Why is that? Who's against him? Who would kill him? Why?
Well, one could argue and say, in the AI space right now, it's extremely competitive. People are recruiting each other, and it's like the Oklahoma land rush times 1,000. Everybody wants to own the AI revolution that is taking place. So, and I'm sure it's not the safest situation to be, especially when you have that kind of content and information. So how much time did your son spend time with him, the chief scientist?
I think it's one of his assignments, maybe a few months, year or so. Suchir worked on different assignments. First assignment was WebGPT research paper. That might be working closely with Ilya. And then he worked on feeding the training data. That is the most frustrating experience for him. And then he tuned up the ChatGPT and made it work very efficiently and faster. That's a significant contribution by Suchir.
Got it. So if there's anybody that would have intel, it would be him, Ilya.
Exactly.
He would have intel.
Everything he knows.
So he knows everything. So he's either worried for his life, doesn't want to get involved, doesn't want to take attention away from his company, and just kind of wants to be left alone. It's one of those things.
Yeah, but Suchir knew the risk he was running into. He writes in his journal, I wish I could share it. He writes in his journal that I'm a credible threat because of New York Times. And he writes...
About himself or about Ilya?
Yes.
Okay.
About himself. I'm a credible threat. Sorry, I changed the topic. I'm a credible threat because of New York Times. So...
And did he write anything in his journal about Ilya?
Yes, he writes.
Is there anything you can share on what he says about Ilya?
He likes Ilya. He's a good person.
So complimentary about Ilya.
Absolutely. Complimenting Ilya.
In his journal that you read, who were some of the names he was concerned about? Where he said, "I'm not sure if I." Was there any patterns that you would say the way he wrote it in this journal, he doesn't trust this guy, he doesn't trust this person?
He doesn't trust Sam Altman.
Why is that?
He is manipulative and full of lies. For that, one of his friends was trying to convince Suchir, look, they have to say that because being a CEO and all the VCs are interested, he has to blow up. But Suchir said there's no integrity for him. I'll give an example of that. I think March 2024, one of the OpenAI employees left OpenAI and he wanted to whistleblow. They put a condition for him that he cannot speak negative about the company. If he spoke, he would not get his stock options. That guy, he refused to take, he accepted the loss of stock options, but he whistleblew what they did. Then Sam Altman said, I never knew anything about it. I'm so sorry, I'll change it, but it has his signature in it.
Very. How much time did they spend together? Your son and Sam Altman. Were they interacting? Was he hands-on? Were they in the same room? Was he in boardrooms? Was he in?
He was his own contributor. He was a very significant contributor. Even in the video of OpenAI employees, my son comes there. I mean, the introduction to OpenAI, there's a video for the incoming employees. My son is there.
So introduction to working to OpenAI, your son is in that video?
Yes.
Really? They put your son in the intro of OpenAI?
Yes, he was there. He was very shy to talk. He didn't speak anything. He's very shy as such. He's there.
Very, very interesting. Okay, so but hour-wise, how many hours do you think Sam Altman and Suchir spent together? Actual hours?
That I don't have in the journal. Some of the employees should share.
He met once.
He met once. But Sam Altman sent a note for us after Suchir passed away. He knew that Suchir made a significant contribution.
So he sent a note to you?
Yes.
Did he call you?
He wanted to, but we didn't want to talk to him.
So he wanted to, but you declined the call?
Yes.
Okay. Respectfully. So he at least made the effort to reach out to you, but you didn't?
He did not reach out to us. We reached out HR to know about his beneficiary and other information. Then he said, but they keep saying they'll support the family. What have they done? Now we have a request to them. Let's keep it confidential. We're going to go to them. Let's see if they accommodate our request.
Is the request public or is it private?
It's private request. It's
And
about
you. It's about your son
sons.
with open.
Let's see if they support. As such, they got back saying that there's no OpenAI, there's no email that originated from my son about copyright. Your son left OpenAI in very good terms. He didn't do anything until we saw in New York Times. We didn't know about his whistleblowing activity. That could not be true. You know why?
Wait. So they're saying until the New York Times article, they did not know about any of the whistleblowing activity.
They say that.
So what was their argument that they're saying that
we are looking for someone who's read his emails or he's responded to emails. Suchir knew it, right? Why would he go to New York Times in July end itself? There's something, right? We need to discover, and what we know is emails could have been deleted, evidences could have been wiped out. There are few other employees, formal employees of OpenAI who have a lawsuit against them. They say their emails were deleted. I don't want to make any conspiracy theory, but we would not rule out any of those. That's exactly why we are saying FBI should get involved and investigate.
who should be involved?
FBI.
FBI should get involved. Have you had any luck? Is FBI, since the Tucker interview, because I'm assuming when you do the Tucker interview afterwards, that goes out there. A lot of weird people are going to reach out to you. Some people that are currently at OpenAI, previous employees. Did anybody reach out to you after Tucker's interview?
No, they are all scared for their life,
Are you
obviously.
so no one even from the agency reached out to you?
No.
So January 15th, when was the interview done with Tucker? Is it on January 15th?
Yes.
So that's 5 days before inauguration, while the president gets in.
I know.
So both Sam Altman and Elon are involved with a relationship with the president. The president has a good relationship with both of them.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a technical situation here on who would want to really investigate and get to the bottom of this. But you're saying no one has yet reached out. That's interesting. Okay, so maybe walk us through the sequencing of he's at Catalina Island, he's backpacking, hiking with his friends. He comes back, I believe, the 21st, which is his birthday.
22nd.
He comes back on the 22nd. 21st is his birthday. I think he turns 26 years old.
He's turned 26.
26 years old. And this is him backpacking Catalina Island.
Yes.
And so he comes back 22nd. Does he speak to you that morning? Does he speak to the family? Walk us through that.
He spoke to me on the morning of his birthday. He knows mom will be very anxious. So he called himself at 9:45. He said, I'm with my friends in the evening. I won't have time. So he called me off. I wished him and I blessed him. That blessing did not protect him. I blessed him. I wished, made wishes to him. He just wrapped up. Then next morning, I think there was an instinctive message for me. I saw 4-year-old Suchir in my dream. And that 4-year-old boy was very thoughtful. Very thoughtful. Because I'm going to get another news, right? That could be the thing. I even have the evidence of texting it to Suchir. And he just said, ha, ha, ha. That was at 8:30 in the morning. Again at 11, I checked with him. He said, we are taking off now. Is the weather good? Is your flight delayed? He said, I'm taking off now. His flight was delayed, but he didn't say I'm taking off now. And then at 4:45, I texted like it's pouring here in Union City. How is it in San Francisco? He said, yeah, it's pouring here. And then he spoke to my husband at 7:12 p.m.
Yes, 7:12 around. I called him to wish him birthday wish. And I sent him a gift. He accepted. And I asked him how was his trip and also who are the friends that went with him to check whether he was in a safe environment. And I suggested going to CES, that is a conference in Las Vegas in January. Yeah, he showed interest to come with me. So those are the conversation we had. And also in the end, he said he's going to get his dinner. So that's the last sentence.
22nd.
22nd at
yeah,
7:12.
Friday.
22nd at
thanks.
7:30.
7:12.
7:12. Okay. What happens next?
What happens next is, let me tell one more context. 1:33 p.m., we have seen the CCTV video of Suchir coming back home with a huge suitcase from backpacking. He looks very fit, very healthy, very happy. Then 7:02, he goes out very quickly to get his dinner and comes back. Even in that picture, even in that video, he seems perfectly normal. We had seen activity on his browser history until 10:18 p.m. One of the conversation he was searching for is, how do I leave a messenger conversation, iMessage group conversation of 3? And then the Google search he was reading was being sabotaged or something.
Was what?
Sabotaged, being.
Sabotaged. Okay.
And another thing he was looking for was neuroscience.
And this is at 10:18, 10:30.
10:18 p.m., yes.
He's searching on Google about neuroscience.
He was researching. Obviously, he was researching till then.
And I saw something you said about a black cat that he was researching.
Yeah, he was searching about that too, yes.
Because you guys had a conversation about a black cat or something like that.
Yeah, we had a conversation about black cat.
And was there? And this is him. This is the CCTV camera, right? When he's getting home, and this is him getting the food at 7:30.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So nothing on his pants. Everything looks good. He looks fine. Yeah, you don't see any stains or anything on any scars. He's listening to probably music or talking to somebody. Okay, so nothing seems out of the ordinary. Okay, and then what happens afterwards?
Afterwards, we don't know anything else. We know that until 10:18 he was browsing. I called him next morning at 12:15. His phone rang twice and it went to voicemail. I assumed he was talking to someone on the phone. I wasn't concerned about his well-being that day. And prior to this, he spent his vacation with his friends, right? He was upbeat. Everybody who he went with have already given report to news agencies. There was a journalist who spoke to 10 of his friends. All of them said he was happy. He didn't show any signs of depression. He was not withdrawn. He was always in the company of people. Typically, people who are suicidal, they become isolated. They don't take part. I have journals. What I did was I took the Venmo receipts of how many times Suchir has met his friends over the period. Tons of times he's met with them. I checked his Google Mail, and there are tons of strangers he's meeting as well. That was the last conversation I had with Suchir. Are you meeting any strangers? Because we believe in astrology. My sister pointed out until December 15th, there is there are some signs that he should be careful. I told him, you know what it shows like in isolation or in hospital, something grave like that. Are you meeting any strangers? He said, yes, of course I'm meeting strangers. I told him to keep low profile till December 15th. And he writes in his journal, my mom said this, and I'm going to do that.
He writes in his journal that mom told me to keep low profile until December 15th.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So you're calling, 2 rings, and then hangs up, goes to message. Okay. And then at this point, this is now November 23rd, right? The next day. So what happens next after that? At what point do you get, because I'm assuming your relationship as a mother, when you call your son, he's calling you back fairly instantly. It's not like he's going to take his time to call you back.
Always, if he's outdoor packing or biking or something, then he calls back in the evening when he gets back home. All day he didn't call me today. Then I wasn't really worried. Our usual call time is Saturday morning, 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, or Sunday. This has been going on since he started at Berkeley. So next morning, 12:15, I called him. Next day, he didn't answer. That time I was really anxious because whole day I haven't heard from him. There have been tons of emails, and again I sent another email message. Usually what happens is if he doesn't pick up the phone because he's busy, my email always gets response. And I sent him a email, no response. I left a voicemail, no response. By evening, my anxiety grew very high. Then Monday, what I did was I went and knocked on his door.
You live an hour away, so you drove up to go knock on his
there.
door. So now this is November 24th.
Number 25th.
25th. Okay. So 25th, you drive up an hour away. You haven't heard from him since the evening of 22nd. You go to his place. What do you find?
His door was locked. I didn't see any smell, a bad smell or anything coming.
Did you have keys to open the door or no?
No,
Okay,
I
got
did
it.
check with the leasing office. They said we cannot. If the police come, we can, they said.
So the police is not there on site yet
Not yet. They came later. They came at 4:30 p.m.
because you called to see what's
I
going
called
on?
at 3 o'clock. I called at 3 o'clock. I called a dispatch and told them to go check on my son. I haven't heard from him. I'm worried about his well-being. They seem to have seen in the CCTV footage at 4:30 p.m. two men from the firefighters group, 2 firefighters and 2 police. They went into his apartment. They knocked on the door. He did not open. They didn't even inform me. I was anxious. I called at 5:30 to follow up what happened. Then they said, ma'am, we cannot go inside the apartment without you. Here is my understanding. You know what? When they went, they knew he was probably dead. Usually there is no such protocol that unless I go, they should open the door, right? Because in few other cases, police have opened the door when there is a question of welfare or concerns about someone's safety. Here, they particularly said, you come, we will open the door, because they wanted someone to take responsibility of the body and sign. So they knew on Monday at 4:30. It's very, and why would they do that? And cops, first 2 people came on 26th. I'm sure you're going to come to that. First 2 people came at 26th at 1:13 p.m. They went inside and they came back. And they were talking, it's the leasing office manager, Corey Velletti. After all these things, in February, we talked to him. And he mentioned that they were talking among themselves that it's a homicide. 2 of them. And they said they did not
The
find...
leasing lady is saying it's homicide.
This is on 26th, 1:15 p.m. They were talking among themselves, this is a homicide case, how to deal with it, right? And
And
then
how do you know that? You hear
The
them or
CCTV.
Yeah, they, in the body camera, the
CC
recordings,
Oh,
we
yeah.
got it. In the conversation, it is, they're discussing with themselves, This is looks like a homicide scenario.
So you can hear it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Our attorney got that
Attorney
too.
got the
Is that
recordings.
public information or that's not public?
It is,
We can release
it is
that.
public.
So you're hearing the leasing managers talking to each other from CCTV saying this is probably a homicide.
This is from BWC, body worn camera of the cop. Leasing manager told before that,
Wait,
but we
the
got
cop
the
is saying this is probably a homicide, or the leasing manager is saying
Cops.
no leasing manager covered up. I'll come to that point. 2 officers who came at 1:13 p.m. with 2 firefighters. They have gone inside. They have checked. They've seen the body, and they were talking among themselves. This is a homicide scene. How do we handle this?
Wait, the cops are talking to each other saying this is a homicide scene.
It looks like a homicide scene. And then they were not able to, how do we handle this? They were looking for guidance. And then they came out and said, they came out. I checked with them, what happened? Did you see my son? Is he there? The only thing I said is, please check and make sure he's traveling. If he's not there, his laptop will not be there, his toothbrush will not be there. That was the only thing I was expecting. I had no idea that this kind of thing can happen. 1:20, they said, oh ma'am, we couldn't enter the building. We have security protocol. We're waiting for 2 more officers. They came around 2 p.m. What we see in the body worn camera BWC recording is that officer who comes, goes inside the crime scene, touches his gun box, everything with bare hands without any gloves. He's already contaminated the crime scene without making a determination. This is very pathetic. And
They're touching everything without any gloves on.
we can release that.
Wow. Okay. So the chief of police,
Yeah.
they assign this and they say it's a suicide.
Yeah. You know what?
That's what they say, that it's a suicide.
Even when they went there were evidences of both homicide and suicide. They chose to pick up suicide. Within 20 minutes, police declared it's a suicide. Right?
Within 20 minutes, they say it's a suicide.
They came out at 2:20 or something. The same officer, Wong, he told me, ma'am, you should be with your family. You should go home. We will inform you in 5-6 hours. Now that I see him touching everything, I suspect they didn't want me to be there because I was seeing everything they were doing. Are they watching the CCTV camera? What are they doing? Though I was not allowed inside, I was sitting outside and watching for 3 hours a day.
How are you able to see what they're doing?
We saw the body cam footage, right?
Oh, you saw it afterwards, is
Yeah,
what you're saying. I
afterwards.
got it. So after he tells, you see the body cam of talking about this is a homicide, this could
Yes.
possibly be a homicide. When was that and what time was that?
It was on 26 November. It's between 1:09 p.m. and 1:20 or 1:30.
And at that point, you're outside the apartment.
I'm outside. I don't know anything. They
Is
came
this
on-
when you're going around talking to people by the apartment, asking people, did you see anything? Did you hear anything?
Yes.
That video, because I've seen that. Okay, we've seen that. So, okay. And I'm also hearing that the camera of the elevator, one of them wasn't working.
Yes.
Okay. The camera in the garage wasn't working. The camera of the next door apartment wasn't working during that time, the CCTV, for whatever reason.
Yes.
And what's interesting about this apartment, if you can pull it up, we looked at the address. It is a very nice property. It's got 330 units. It's the Holland residential. It's got a rooftop lounge. It's got a private lounge. It was built in 2016, so it's not like it's something that's old. It's high end. I think the rent to get for the apartment that he had was like $44.99 a month or $4,500 a month. So you're not looking at something that's just a regular property. Can you go to the clip of the side rob that you were on MapQuest that you were showing what it was? Yeah, if you can, and maybe even if you can show, yeah. So if you can go there to the side, yeah. If you can do the street view, you had it earlier, Rob.
Right there.
Okay, so can you go to the apartment, actual apartment? Is that the
Yeah, that's the
This looks like the 4A. Hold on one second. I'll get to the street view.
So this looks like a nice area.
It does actually. And it's a gated community, but what police wrote in the report, there's only one entrance. We've seen the CCTV footage. No one came in, no one came out. So they called it suicide. But the fact is, they have ignored there is one more camera in the backyard, in the back door. And one more door in the back door, and that doesn't have the camera. Anyone could come in easily. And also the most strangest thing is November 14th, a week before the murder, camera in the elevator was disconnected.
Why?
That is what we want FBI to investigate. We don't want to make any theories. We are concerned about it.
Have you asked the property owner to see why the camera was disconnected?
They're not talking to us now. They say, come through your attorney. And our attorney believes even if we ask them, they're not going to answer us because we need to get subpoenas and all that.
Is there security on the property all the time or no?
Yes, there is security on the property. We have talked to him also.
And has he spoken? Has he said anything or no?
He said, we didn't know at that point of time that police had come at 4:30 p.m. He was the one who told, yes, I saw someone coming, and then 911 call, and I saw like there was a fire engine and a police car and all that. He said, he talked about my son, and he said, I've seen him going very fast out of the complex, riding his motorcycle. He was very humble, very polite, very respectful.
And so at this time, when do they come and tell you, and how did they tell you what happened? The first time you find out, how did that happen?
I found out at 3:20 p.m. the same day, and they're not telling me anything. All I know is they just said, go home, and I said, I refuse to. I have no idea my son is like this. I went and had my lunch. When I say I'll go for lunch, I saw the disgust in the lady officer's face. I was stressed out. I didn't pay attention to it. But when I went and started eating, I realized I threw the sandwich halfway through and I ran back to the complex to see what happened. By then, from her one expression, I was worried. Around 3:20 p.m., I saw a big van coming, and it was not an ambulance. That itself struck an alarm in me. I ran to that ambulance, saw a stretcher come out that didn't look like the ambulance stretcher. And I checked with them, what is this stretcher for? What are you doing here? They said, we've come to pick up a dead body. That's when I got it. I called my husband. He's not ready to believe it.
Okay, so you find out. So you don't even find out from the cops. You find out from the white van, whoever it is that's working there, that they're here to pick up a dead body. Do they know you're the mother yet?
They didn't know I'm the mother. They would not have told if police did not tell me until they completed the investigation. They took the body away. These were the medical examiner investigators who were coming in. Unofficially, I went and talked to one of them. They told me there's a dead body we need to pick up. But police hadn't told me till then.
So they tell you it's a dead body you got to pick up. Who are you going to next? Are you going to the cops and saying, hey, why is he telling me it's a dead body? Who are they picking? What is your next?
Police were inside. I couldn't talk to anyone. Of course, I would collapse, right? It's very shocking. I called my husband. I called two of my best friends. And I asked one of them to come there because it was incredibly shocking for me. And they said, wait there, ma'am. Around 4 o'clock, they said, they came out, and Corey Valeti, he said, please wait inside the leasing office. They'll come and talk to you. And the police also said, wait inside, ma'am. We'll come and talk to you. Around 4:05 or 4:10, medical examiner investigator, he comes and he tells the death news to me. That's the official death news.
Okay. So at 1:09 to 1:20, you have footage of the officers talking to each other saying this is probably homicide. 2 hours later, at 3:20, 3:30, the white van shows up. You come back from lunch. You can't even eat the sandwich. You throw it away. Then they tell you, ma'am, we're here to pick up a dead body. And they weren't supposed to tell you because that's not their job to do. If they knew you were the mother, they wouldn't tell you.
Exactly.
Right. So now you're there. They're saying it's a suicide. Your next move is to hire your own private investigator. Because is that what you're thinking at that moment? I mean, what's the next step for you?
At the very moment when the medical examiner investigator told he shot himself, it's a suicide. At the moment I raised them, Suchir was a whistleblower. A month ago, his whistleblowing interview came in New York Times. He just brushed it aside. He only wanted to know Did he commit suicide any time before? Did he attempt any time? Was he depressed? Do you see anything alarming? I said no for everything. But in the medical examiner's autopsy report, he blames me that mother said her son was depressed because he was unemployed. It's a very personal information. How did they even know he was unemployed? That's my question to them. I never said anything to them. And Suchir had job offer for 850,000 to 1.5 million.
From what month is that he had the 850 to 1.5?
That was sometime in September.
Oh, Rob, if we have to show that. So that's an email, like a documentation showing our offer to you is 850 to 1.5 million.
Yes, it's an email that's saying, like, will you work for us? There are so many other emails. I can show many of them to build credibility that he was not worried about this.
That's big right there to show. So they can't use that he was unemployed and it's because he's under stress and that's what it is. What else? And by the way, why were they so quick to say it was a suicide?
That's the question for them. No, that itself is a like alarming red flag for us, because they were only supposed to say gunshot wound in the death certificate. They made a determination next day it's a self-inflicted gunshot wound. They didn't do any autopsy. They released the body. We hired an attorney. Attorney said, I know the medical examiner director, let me talk to him. Next morning, they called and said, no, they haven't done the autopsy. They just took the CT scan, released the body. Protocols were not followed. First and foremost, when they took the body, the medical examiner investigator is not a doctor. He cannot tell the cause of death, that is self-inflicted, right? He cannot make a decision. He made a decision, it's a suicide right there. Were they told to tell this?
There's no suicide note.
There's no suicide note. How did they say
can
that?
Decide on their own.
So this takes me to when Epstein was found dead in a cell. You had the two cameras weren't outside the cell, were not working. They were malfunctioning. The camera had unusable footage. The other cameras, the backup cameras, the footage of the cellmate's cell was lost. Nothing was there. So it gets people to question certain instances where, maybe they don't want to show something and who was involved with that. By the way, the chief of police, Rob, can you see who he is and who he's affiliated to, tied to? What's his relationship with Altman and who is the William Scott? Can you go to his? Is that the chief of police on? Is he the chief of police, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. So can you go to his Wikipedia if you don't mind, if he has one? Go a little bit to see if there's anything there.
There is a San Francisco, from
well,
the San
let's see this
Francisco
if you don't mind. So
Police
this is William Scott.
Yes.
San Francisco Chief of Police was sworn in by Mayor Edley on January after serving 25. He has been focused on implementing 21st century reforms. Chief Scott's reform efforts has been nationally recognized. The reform project was the Department of Justice reform recommendations on April 1st while working to establish violent crimes. Okay, so is there anything about him, Rob? Grew up Alabama. Well, who is he tied to?
I do have one finding. I'll share with you.
Please.
It's on my Twitter message. Somebody said 1 week before my son's death, someone from the government office, he's the one, I don't remember the name of the designation, he's the one who makes the budget for police. He praised Sam Altman a lot.
He praises Sam Altman a lot.
1 week before.
Who's that?
Someone from the police department, one who makes the budget. I probably don't remember his designation. That says a lot to us, right?
I don't know. The mayor, Rob, can you see if the mayor has any link to Sam Altman?
Absolutely. They're close buddies. They knew before itself. And the mayor went to Sam Altman's new data center inauguration. They are and Sam Altman was on the transition team for the mayor of San Francisco. But then already.
Yeah, that's very strange to me. Okay, so from January 15th, where you did the public interview with Tucker, till today, it's been over 2 months. What new findings have you? Yes, San Francisco Daniel has established connection with OpenAI Sam Altman November 2024, shortly after his election. Lurie appointed Altman as one of the 7 co-chairs of his transition team. This team was tasked with the guiding of his new administration on addressing the city's challenges. But when is that? November what? Because is that November 5th? Is that November 18th or November 27th? Because November 17th? That's a week. That's 5 days before. Huh. Okay. So what new findings have you gotten since your last interview you did with Tucker Carlson?
There's a lot of new findings, and we're still waiting for the conclusive report from specific experts. First and foremost is the toxicology report. We received the autopsy and toxicology report. Toxicology report shows 0.178 alcohol level. That's a big alarm for us because we know our son was not a regular drinker. He was only a social drinker. I still have the messages with his friends. No, Suchir was a social drinker. And if he's not used to drinking, that will make him impaired with that high level of alcohol. Even if we think there's an endogenous alcohol produced in the body because of the microbial activity, that will only be 10 to 15%.
Alcohol level 0.178.
It's very, very high.
I mean, 0.08, I believe, is DUI, right?
Yeah.
So alcohol level 0.178. Okay. What else did the toxicology find?
And it also pointed GHB. Though the medical examiner is saying like it's endogenous, in their own autopsy report, it says only the GHB that's more than 50,000 nanogram per liter is included. So this GHB is called out. That means there was more than 50,000 nanograms per second. And also, even though you can calculate for nanograms, how many nanograms are produced, we're still waiting on this chief toxicologist from another state, his report on his conclusive findings. Verbally, he has told it's a possibility that he could be intoxicated. It's a sedative. Combination is a sedative.
Combination is a sedative.
And when the police told me that my son shot himself, first question I asked for, did you find any drugs? Did you find any alcohol? Because Suchir doesn't do anything. I want to make sure someone didn't harm him in any way. They said, no, we didn't find anything. And SFPD, do we need to teach them just because their main reason they're saying is no one went in, no one went out, his rooms and door was closed. Do we need to teach SFPD to tell someone can make a duplicate keys to enter his apartment? It's pretty easy, doable. Do we need to tell them? And do we need to tell SFPD that they can get friendly with the maintenance staff and get access to the building through them? And other suspicion we have on leasing offices, they have not released all the key fob data. They've only released the ones for security. For other maintenance staff, we don't have. And we want to find out, was there anyone who left the job after this, right? We want to investigate, has anyone, do we see anyone getting a lot of money, unusually, unnecessary,
Nowadays, more than ever, the brand you wear reflects and represents who you are. So for us, if you wear a Future Looks Bright hat or a Valuetainment gear, you're telling the world, I'm optimistic. I'm excited about what's going to be happening, but you're a free thinker. You question things. You like debate. And by the way, last year, 120,000 people got a piece of Future Looks Bright gear with Valuetainment. We have so many new things. The cufflinks are here. New Future Looks Bright. This is my favorite, the green one. Just yesterday, somebody placed an order for 100 of these. If you watch the PBD podcast, you got a bunch to choose from. White ones, black ones. If you smoke cigars and you come to our cigar lounge, we have this high quality lighter cutter and a holder for the cigars. We got sweaters with the Valuetainment logo on it. We got mugs. We got a bunch of different things. But if you believe the future looks bright, if you follow our content and what we represent with Valuetainment, with PBD Podcast, go to vtmerch.com. And by the way, if you order right now, there's going to be a special VT gift inside just for you. So again, go to vtmerch.com, place your order, tell the world that you believe the future looks bright. Yeah, this is weird to me. And by the way, you have the footage of the apartment, right?
Yes.
Are you comfortable with us sharing that footage?
Yeah.
This here. Okay, if you want to walk us through, Rob, if you want to press. So this is his apartment unit. Go ahead, Rob. When was this recorded, by the way?
This was recorded January 4th.
So roughly 6 weeks later.
Yeah, but
Five and a half weeks later. But nothing's been moved.
Nothing has been moved except they put that fan over there. And this fan, you know what? Another interesting observation from CCTV. Before even the body was removed, they had this fan come in. And what I was told is they rented this from another company. Within 2 hours, where can
you
they get
pause it
this
right there,
spam
Rob?
delivered? We can show you the CCTV footage. Someone is bringing in. The body is still there. Medical examiner hasn't come in. At that time, around 3 p.m., they're bringing this exhaust fan inside the complex. How did they know?
Wait, they brought the fan when?
26th at 3 p.m.
They bought the fan at 26 at 3 p.m., right?
Yeah.
But I mean, 30 minutes later, they said they said it's a suicide, no?
1 hour later, they said it's a suicide.
So what's your concern with the timing of when they brought the fan in?
Did leasing age, anyone in the leasing office knew he was no more? Possibly because the police said we cannot enter unless you come. That means they want someone to authorize the signature, right?
Got it. Okay, so what are we looking at here? What's in that?
Some medications. He was taking that ADHD medication. Most people take that to be alert.
Is that Adderall?
Adderall, yes.
He's taking Adderall, and then
Yeah.
what's on the other side?
It's some sinus medicine or something like that.
Okay, got it.
And that day also he had taken cold medicine. He had taken maybe anti-allergy medicine. They were on his desk.
Okay, Rob, continue playing. Anything here? Keep going. Did you find bottles of alcohol laying around or
No,
sitting
we
around?
didn't.
Only Gatorade is there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't see any bottles of alcohol, but his blood alcohol level was 0.178?
Yeah, that's the strange thing for us. We don't understand how that's possible. And he's not a regular drinker. Like, I just even question myself, someone who's so high in alcohol level. Let's take endogenous alcohol formation reduces 15%, right? Even then it's high for someone who's not used to. Can he even shoot himself?
Yeah, and in your autopsy, you found that he apparently shot himself twice, right? Is
That's the second
gun
one need
wounds?
to be. A radiologist has confirmed there is a second bullet.
that food?
But we're still waiting for more confirmation from it.
is that food on the floor?
Yes,
Yes.
food was
And that's
spilled
the
on the floor. That is probably to make an impression that he was drunk and kind of things.
Got it. Keep going, Rob. That's the Chinese food that he had in his
Yeah, we
hand when
removed
he
his
was walking.
computer by then. His desktop was removed. And recently we picked up all his handwritten notes, his design notes, everything, so we can give it for analysis. Why is the dust like vacuum lying down there? Who vacuumed that time, right? He just came back from a trip. He hasn't had any time. Did the assassins, did they clean up? That's our question. And the bloodshot is very, very disturbing for us to see.
If you don't want to see it, I don't mind turning it off.
No, it's okay. Yeah, we have even seen the autopsy pictures. We've seen the crime scene pictures. But for the viewers, I'm concerned. See, living room is very clean. His bedroom is ransacked completely.
His bedroom is.
Bedroom is ransacked. And the drawers in the bathroom are left open.
What is that?
That's the gun box and that's the receipt of the gun. He owned a gun a year ago.
So
For
it's not
safety
like
reasons.
he just bought the gun. He bought the gun a year
No. He
ago.
bought
Okay.
it 2024 January.
So this is his room's ransacked.
Yeah.
What were they trying to find?
A pen drive probably. I don't know.
Okay.
You know why? Why they would have ransacked? Suchir knew a lot of secrets. They knew he's very smart, he'll hide somewhere. Even now, I have the hope as a mother, I know my son will not go without any evidence. Even now, I believe, but we haven't found anything. His pen drive we found that we were talking about. We found a pen drive, but it's corrupt completely.
What else do you see here while you're going through it?
It's storage and it's mostly gym equipments.
Yeah, that's the gun bag. That's the gun bag.
How many bullets were missing?
That we don't know, right?
Okay. But so you haven't opened that box to see what's in it. No one's touched it. While you're going through this, is somebody watching you do this? Did they give you permission to do this? Or at this point, it's open, you can go through it because rent's still being paid?
This was by a crime scene investigator. He took this video, not
So
us.
this is not you. This is the crime scene investigator that got the sign off to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
we
his,
are retaining the apartment. in case we need to investigate more.
Got it. So that's the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's his blood.
And the blood here, if you notice the blood near the back, it looks like spitting or coughing blood. And that's outside the main area. If I show the picture of the body was inside, head was towards this door corner, the hinge of the door and the door frame. And if you see, like, there's no sign of Suchir walking around after he was shot finally. The final shot for him is fatal. He lost his life immediately. Where is all the blood spatter from? The spitting of the blood, we have something to corroborate.
Why is there blood on the...
Exactly.
Why is there blood on the sink?
Our CSI mentioned that this could be from the head injury. Potentially, when he was in the bathroom, he might have been attacked from behind because there's a head injury here. He believes that smaller spatters are from the head injury, and we've also seen a knee injury. Jeans is
Yeah,
ripped.
I saw that. If you want to, again, I want to ask this again. Are you comfortable showing the picture of your son with the knee injury?
Yes.
Absolutely. We have seen everything.
ahead,
You know
Rob.
what? Every time I see a pregnant woman, so my stomach starts fluttering because I kept my son in my womb. I gave birth to him and nurtured him, loved him, and I see him lying down in a pool of blood, whole mouth covered with blood, eyes covered with blood. I don't want any mother to go through that.
Yeah. When Tony brought the pictures and we're looking at it, I'm like, are you sure we want to... At this point, we put a disclaimer so the audience knows there's a disclaimer. So what is that wound? What did autopsy say that wound is?
They never mentioned it. They never mentioned the head injury.
Wait a minute, but so their autopsy said how many shots were fired?
They just recovered only one metal bullet. In the CT scan, there were 2 metal pieces. Medical examiner failed to notice and failed to remove it. It's a serious accountability. They did not even look at their own CT scan. We sent the CT scan to a couple of radiologists and they think it could be another bullet. Corresponding to that, we have seen the wounds in this mouth and the hole in the tongue. I've shared that with...
This is from who? This is from the autopsy that you hired, the private investigator you hired.
Yeah, this is the radiologist we hired. He's from a different state, but from USA.
A second bullet probably entered through the mouth. No clear entry wound seen, but it is lodged in the back of the throat at the skull base clivus. This bone stopped it, and it did not cause any damage likely. Perhaps it traveled through the air passage of the mouth to the back of the throat, causing problems. Note below the second bullet lodged in the back of the throat at the skull base. So can you go to that, Rob? So that's the one.
And again, this could be the bullet concept. Different doctors could have different opinions on this. We would not criticize anyone saying this is not a bullet. We are open for all opinions. This is some people's opinion that this is a bullet, and also they confirm the size is 9 mm.
9 millimeter.
9 millimeter.
And his gun is what size?
Yeah, 9
it's
millimeter.
9 millimeter.
Both
Okay.
are same size.
Okay. So, but the autopsy from the cops was one bullet. The autopsy from...
Even our private autopsy did not detect this because he didn't do the CT scan. He is also messed
Got
up.
it.
He didn't do X-ray. He didn't do CT
Got
scan.
it. So this is new. This is new release that you found out that there's possibly a second bullet in there.
Yeah, we got the official CT scan images. We requested them release the CT scan images. Then we have an overseas consultant doctor. We shared with him. And he exposed all these things. Then what we wanted to do is we wanted to confirm from 2 other doctors in US. We have the information from 2 other radiologists. And these people haven't seen any of the autopsy pictures. They don't know anything. We just gave the autopsy. We just gave the CT scan and asked them to give an opinion.
What conclusion did they come up with?
They came up with, radiologists said there are two potentially, I would not say, they say, but I still want to take my words. Be very cautious because credibility of what we say will be lost. This is not something we are saying, but corresponding to what the radiologists say, I've shared the picture of tongue. The tongue has abrasions all along the side, and the tongue has a hole in
Go
the
back to it,
center.
Rob. Oh, I'll put that picture you're trying to get up. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah. Why would there be a hole in the tongue? Why there are perforations and abrasions on the edge of the tongue?
The tongue shows extensive laceration and discoloration over the margins. By the way, this is very tough to watch. If you're watching this, you can't see what we're looking at. It's very disturbing to watch. With a centralized, nearly oval-shaped defect at the distal of, I can't read it, Rob. It's so zoomed in. So what are they saying this reveals to you?
This looks like a hole in the center, right? The blue circle is made, and the edge is the abrasions or the wound injuries. How can, if a gun is shot here, right? This is the bullet. How can the tongue have a hole? How can there be abrasions? We're looking for answers. We're not coming to any conclusions yet. We want FBI to investigate, and we are looking for answers. Why there is wound? Why the cheekbone is broken? You can imagine like what we have gone through. Why the cheekbone is broken? They haven't mentioned that in their autopsy report. What level of cover-up is this? Is this incompetence? Is it negligence? Is it on purpose? We don't know.
Rob, can you go back to the report where it says, in conclusion, you were reading something. I wanted to kind of read what okay. So all the way down, there was something where it says, in conclusion, it took the bullet a very short time to travel from the entry point to the cord where the mortal injury happened. It takes longer for the pain perception to occur as the nerve impulses through nerves, since our perception is fast but not instantaneous. Therefore, by the time the pain from the bullet arrived to where it would be felt, the child was already without the ability to sense it. He truly likely died a painless death, horrendous one in every possible way, but likely without actual physical pain perception. An analogy is like dying during surgery. It is sad, but one cannot feel it. He did not die of injuries without which would hurt him.
So if this is the case, that's a fatal shot. Even Dr. Cohen has written, even the coroner has written, it touched his brain cell, the fatal bullet. If it touches his brain cell, it's instantaneous death. Then where are all those wounds coming from? Where are the additional blood spatters coming from? Where is the spitting coming from? Corresponding to spitting blood spatter, we see a hole in the tongue. We see, it's such a brutal, cold-blooded.
Can you go back to the picture, Rob, of him laying down where we blurred out, yeah. So I'm trying to find out the first, the second, and the wound in the leg.
You can see some extent even here in his body. I'm glad you covered the face. Face was very difficult to watch.
It's very difficult for us to. We took a look at it. It was tough to watch.
As a parent, I've seen it.
Oh, look, I understand two feelings. One, it's so painful to keep retelling the story. But two, a parent has to find out what happened. How do you live the rest of your life? It's a very difficult pain to go through. I can only imagine how painful that is.
If SFPD and OCME medical examiner, if they had done their job, did we have to do all this? Where are they? What are they doing? What is their responsibility? Weren't they supposed to protect the rights of the citizens? Suchir was born in Florida. He's not an immigrant. He's born here in Florida. November 1998. He's an American citizen by birth.
What other whistleblowers has OpenAI had?
One of them who spoke about losing the stock options. And then recently, another one said about the AI safety. But Suchir's point of view is more significant because he writes about the copyright. And he writes in his journal, copyright is very confusing. So he wrote a scientific research paper. The difference between Suchir and others is Suchir proved the copyright violation and he was going to testify. And Suchir knew what exactly goes into training data. To be more precise, OpenAI on November 21st, New York Times released that OpenAI deleted the copyright data that was given in the training that was fed to the AI engine. They deleted the evidence. And Who would say, no, that was fed? My son, right? Because he was the one who's feeding the data. So if they silence him, there's no evidence of copyright violation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the names right now. Some of the other guys. You got Daniel Kokotajlo, part of the AI governance team. He resigned May of 2024. This is 2 months before your son goes and blows the whistle, citing concerns over the company's commitment to responsible behavior regarding artificial general intelligence. He notably refused to sign a non-disclosure may retain ability to critique the company. Leopold Aschenbrenner, an OpenAI researcher, super alignment team. He was terminated April of 2024 after allegedly leaking internal information. He had previously raised alarms about potential espionage threats and the company's security measures.
Yeah.
And then you got William Saunders, a former research engineer who expressed apprehensions about OpenAI's transition for a for-profit model, fearing it might compromise safety standards. He testified before the U.S. Senate regarding the concerns. Okay, so any other findings that got you to be a little bit concerned? Any new findings?
Yeah, one of the things is the gun, muzzle end did not have any blood mark on it. When somebody shoots them, right, it is a contact wound. In case of contact wound, there should be blood mark on the gun. It's not there. And also the casing, the spent cartridge was in the chamber. It never fall down. One of the hypotheses our attorney said is that could happen when someone is holding his hand. Again, it's not a theory. One of the possibilities is someone was holding his hand. They shot, they released it. So, right? It didn't eject. They didn't release, they didn't pull it completely. Right? When they didn't pull it completely, it didn't eject. That's a possibility. Since the GSR was found on both the hands, and why not the muzzle end of the gun doesn't have any blood on it? It should be there, right? If you find it disturbing as parents, like imagine what we went through, and every day we are living this reality.
And we still don't know why that's on the leg.
Obviously, it's an assault, right?
But they haven't told you anything yet.
They haven't even acknowledged it.
What your politically, has any powerful person politically reached out to you? Ro Khanna, have you spoken to Ro Khanna? Because I know Elon Musk, what he said is, actually Ro Khanna did say something about this. Elon Musk said immediately,
it doesn't
he tweeted
look like
out
a
something
suicide.
saying, what was the words he said? He says,
It doesn't look like a suicide.
this doesn't seem like suicide. What did Ro Khanna say about this?
Ro Khanna was very sad and devastated to hear this. He said, like I understand, we need to know the truth. And he said he will help me with the federal investigation. I can't help you with the state. And as per his staff guidance, we did put in a request, we did put in a complaint. We didn't hear back. So now that we have all these evidences, we want to follow through that again and try to see if we are heard this time.
I think Ro Khanna would follow through. How many employees does OpenAI have in his district? A lot, right? So it's
around 1,000, maybe more than 1,000. They moved to a newer space. Startups keep expanding every month. We don't have the count. And another thing is, every researcher at OpenAI, they make statement that they're taking 1 year break and they're doing their own independent project. My suspicion is they're making them sign some kind of NDA to not work for anyone for a year, to protect their own. That's illegal, right?
Well, there's a lot of good lawyers in America. But when I think about who is in Ro Khanna's district, is Apple, Intel, Yahoo. I'm wondering what else is.
But the problem in Silicon Valley is these tech companies, they do a lot of donations to politicians, their campaigns and their elections and all of them. So indirectly, they have a very good hold over the government. Even the news media hasn't picked it up. It's the same by us. Someone said Mark Zuckerberg, whatever he does, it comes out. And such a brutal death. Why is not out? Why no one is relaying?
Who would you want to get a hold of this? Who, if there was a last message here that you would want somebody to want to reach out to you and help out, who would it be?
That would be Kash Patel, the director of FBI. That is the one who we want to talk to. He's bringing a lot of change. And we would also want to hear from Pam Bondi, Miss Pam Bondi. We would also want to hear from her.
Have you had any communication with Kash Patel?
No, not yet.
Nothing yet.
No. We don't have his email address. We don't have his phone number. But I've been tagging him in every tweet he does. I'm subscribing to it. Every tweet, within one of the 60 messages, I put, justice to Suchir Balaji.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't know fully, when you read this stuff, you come to your own conclusion, right? What I know for a fact is I 100% can support and imagine parents want to know what happened. This is your only child. I remember when, I sold an insurance policy to a kid many, many years ago, a young kid, 19 years old, and he was the only child. And he got into a car accident and he passed away. 1,000+ people showed up to his funeral. And when the policy was delivered to his parents were devastated because they tried 7 years to have a baby and they committed their entire lives to this baby. So to me, when I hear these stories, it breaks my heart when I'm seeing you sit here, want to talk about it, and have to relive it. I'm looking at his father and, seeing what you're going through. I can only imagine the pain. But to me, if this is a story like OpenAI and a 26-year-old kid is going through this and there's all these contradictions and new findings, somebody needs to find out exactly what happened here. Because it seems like to me, all you want to know is you just want to know the truth. Spend some time investigating this to see what happened.
We know the truth already. We know what happened. We just want accountability. We want to know who did this and bring them to court. So since we are seeing the FBI director bringing radical changes in FBI, maybe we are seeking help from him and U.S. Attorney General, Ms. Pam Bondi. We want to reach out.
How much pressure behind closed doors are you putting on OpenAI?
We don't want to talk anything about them. We just know the circumstantial corroboration and who could benefit from it kind of things. Other than that, we are not pointing fingers at anyone at this moment. And I also want to make very clear that we've seen a metal object. But there are some more facts to be verified about it. If it were a bullet, there should be additional spent casing. Did they remove it? What happened? How many bullets were fired from that gun? Unfortunately, police have already done ballistic testing. We lost that evidence. The only thing now we know is there was a metal piece. It's the same size as the thing. And we've seen the wounds in the mouth. What is this?
What is your speculation? What are you guys speculating to see who's behind it? Is there any speculation of who would be behind this?
It's hard to say, but whatever he was saying was against the entire AI industry's copyright issue, right? Whom do we point to? We know.
Kind of a retaliation, we feel. It is a retaliation.
Yes. Retaliation for whistleblowing.
So then it's only directed back to OpenAI if it's retaliation. Because that is directed towards them.
He didn't have any
other enemies.
Enemies so far. In all are his friends, except this the only.
The only person in his life ever Suchir was not happy about was Sam Altman. Since his childhood, he doesn't complain about teachers, friends, colleagues, no one. The only person in his life he writes negative. So Suchir knew something. As a mother, I can say he knew something more. He worked at 17 and his work relationship with colleagues was so good. How do we reach Kash Patel?
Well, the right people are going to watch this. That's for sure. The right people are going to watch this, and it's going to get to the community that's directly, connected to Kash Patel. I have one person I'm going to send this to who works with Kash Patel, and let's see what happens.
He knew he was a threat. But if he were worried, he would take protection to prevent his life, right? I do see that on October 30th, I saw he was very scared.
On October 28th.
October 30th. 29th, he met a copyright attorney called Matthew Buttery. We spoke to him on November 29th. And Matthew told us that Suchir said what OpenAI did to him. That's why we are holding on to them. And then I'll meet with you and I'll share what I learned from your son. But he never met with us. That was next day Suchir came and talked to us. And when he came home, he was so scared. He hadn't slept all night. I watched him again. I did the FaceTime meeting, and November 7th, he came again. He was normal. So that particular day, did he receive any threat? I wanted to go back to drop Suchir. He didn't accept it. I said, I'll come meet you. No, I'll come home.
Yeah. That's tough. October 30th. So he was worried on the 30th.
Yeah, he was worried on 30th. It was obviously seen. What did he learn from conversation with Matthew? That's where my mind goes. What did he learn from Matthew that made him worry? What truth did he learn?
And the chief scientist officer doesn't want to talk to you.
They won't talk to me. They didn't even talk to my attorney. The Matthew didn't even talk to my attorney. He didn't talk to the PI. So he knows something.
Can you zoom in a little bit on Ilya? I mean, this guy has done some very good interviews. He's very smart at what he does. Israel-Canadian computer scientist who specializes in machine learning, several major contributions in deep learning with Alex Krzyzewski, Jeffrey Hinton, and Combs Alex Network. He co-founded and was a former chief scientist at OpenAI in 2023. He was one of the members of OpenAI board that ousted Sam Altman from his position as CEO. Oh, so he is fully against Altman as well. Altman returned a week later, and Sutskever stepped down from the board. In June 2024, he co-founded a company called Safe Superintelligence and Daniel...
SSI, yeah.
With Daniel Gross and Daniel Levy. Huh.
Honestly, we don't even have time to sit and grieve or cry. It's numbed. Emotions are numbed.
Yeah.
Well, which is fighting.
I wish the occasions was different for us to be sitting down together. All we want to do is get as many eyeballs to this as possible, to get people of interest who can find out more, to get to the bottom of this. I applaud you tremendously for having the courage and the willingness to do this. This is not easy to do.
Yeah.
And my condolences goes out obviously to you and your entire family as you're going through this process. And we're going to do our best to get this in the right people's hands. God willing, the right people will reach out to you.
Thank you. And I also can write a complaint to FBI director, send it over to Tony. Can we send it out to one of his staff?
If you send us note, we're going to forward it to the right people that we have in contact, that we're in contact with.
Okay. We need to sign and send that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do it today afternoon.
Perfect. No problem.
Hopefully it will reach them.
God willing. God willing. I mean, this is something that it's going to be very technical. There is some political components to it because of OpenAI and what he's working on. But at the end of the day, justice is a big part of America. Justice to find out exactly for the story to come out.
Can I say something? Recently, OpenAI tried to promote a bill. That bill says because of NSA data, they want to make copyright doable. They don't want to oppose copyright because OpenAI is using NSA data. So copyright is agreeable. So Suchir protested copyright. Now they want to make copyright legal. Yeah.
OpenAI and Google asked the government to let them train AI in content they don't own. OpenAI argues it needs access to avoid forfeiting the lead in AI to China.
This one more in which they say they want to promote a bill. They're suggesting a bill. In that bill, they say we have NSA data and we want it to be copyright enabled because of that.
The proposal came in response to a request White House, which asked governments, industry groups, private sector, organization, and others for input for Donald Trump's AI action plan. The initiative is supposed to enhance America's position as an AI powerhouse while preventing burdensome requirements. Yeah. I mean, that's what you got to do. So you got to put the FOMO, the threat, to be able to force a bill like this to pass. You need a crisis to.
We don't know like how far this can go because who's behind it? We have no idea how deep this goes.
Well, this is a big race right now. This is and there's a lot of controversy and competition right now, specifically with OpenAI. Initially, it was, hey, this is going to be a nonprofit. This is what we're doing. I think Elon put $50 million of his own money into it, and then all of a sudden, finding a way to adjust it. And Sam's argument was the fact that this is what we need to do to raise a lot of money. If we don't do this, we can't raise the money. And then from there, the company's valuation, I think 100x. I don't know if I read this somewhere, but we're going to find out. We're going to find out what's going on. As you know, with today's economy and the market and how small the world is, the people, if you're watching this and you're interested in this, and you also have information yourself and you have the courage to want to do something about it, you know, I suggest you reach out. And what's a way for people to reach out to you? Is there a website? Is there somewhere that they can go? Is there anything they can do? Is it purely Twitter?
Twitter is easiest.
Okay, it's fantastic.
We can allow what we can disallow depending on who reaches. I usually look for 2-3 messages and try to understand the psychology. We had some good experiences. We had some bad experiences.
Well, Poornima, Balaji, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming out. And again, extremely uncomfortable, but I appreciate you and I applaud you for being willing to share this message with others. And it's very obvious as parents, you're proud parents for raising a kid to do what he did for the short period that he had. I'm sure his legacy is going to continue by other people that'll be inspired to want to also go out there and, you know, get the types of results that he's gotten at his young life. Very impressive, the kind of a kid you guys raised. Thank you so much for coming on and being on the show here.
And thank you for sharing this information to everyone. They've tried to suppress this. They've tried their best to suppress this news. They don't want anyone to know it. And if I were to say there are a couple other whistleblowers, one of them is Cyrus Pasa. He's an AI whistleblower. He was founded exactly 3 months in the same way in Los Angeles. And his mother is, she wasn't able to protest it. Recently, Cyrus Pasa, the news only came on Twitter and Facebook. They didn't let this news circulate.
How do you spell his name?
Cyrus.
Okay.
Pasa, P-A-R-S-A. I can share the news from Facebook. One of his friends, close friends, put that on Facebook. Other few friends put it on Twitter. This is not the first time. We saw Boeing whistleblower who spoke about the nuts and bolts, right? He was founded exactly the same way, self-inflicted gunshot wound. And if you see JFK's files, someone who was in the military who spoke about it, is who's behind it, he got shot.
No, nothing would surprise me today when it comes down to AI. There's a lot of intel on that. Cyrus Parsa was from an AI organization, was found dead by a gunshot wound to the head. He had a lot of spiritual training and would not have taken his life since he knew what that meant to a moment of his life. So he likely was suicided, since he also mentioned to not take him out in his tweet in January of 2025. Wow. Well,
is there anything we can do to stop this whistleblower death? That's the only plea I have for government is, please stop it. How can you stop it? Trump wants to bring a lot of changes. Kash Patel is working with him. Pam Bondi wants to bring justice system. If the only thing, my last wish would be, bring justice and stop further. It's been America is a capitalist country. Because of whistleblowing, any financial loss to them, they only know to kill and silence it. It's not easy to suppress it, but at least if there is some kind of protection in place, people can use that. When they whistleblow, they can tell that, right? There's a protection for me. And then anything happens to them becomes a liability for who they blew against whistleblower. If we have some law like that, people would not kill.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for being here and appreciate you. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye. nowadays, more than ever, the brand you wear reflects and represents who you are. So for us, if you wear a Future Looks Bright hat or a Valuetainment gear, you're telling the world, I'm optimistic. I'm excited about what's going to be happening, but you're a free thinker. You question things. You like debate. And by the way, last year, 120,000 people got a piece of Future Looks Bright gear with Valuetainment. We have so many new things. The cufflinks are here. New Future Looks Bright. This is my favorite, the green one. Just yesterday, somebody placed an order for 100 of these. If you watch the PBD podcast, you got a bunch to choose from. White ones, black ones. If you smoke cigars and you come to our cigar lounge, we have this high quality lighter cutter and a holder for the cigars. We got sweaters with the Valuetainment logo on it. We got mugs. We got a bunch of different things. But if you believe the future looks bright, if you follow our content and what we represent with Valuetainment, with PBD Podcast, go to vtmerch.com. And by the way, if you order right now, there's going to be a special VT gift inside just for you. So again, go to vtmerch.com, place your order, tell the world that you believe the future looks bright.